Asbestos kills. If anyone saw the recent ABC show Devil's Dust, very moving series, and portrays the death of people who work with asbestos. And it's been proven that there is no safe level of asbestos. So that's the critical thing, that asbestos does kill. There is no known safe level. Some people have worked with it all their life and don't contract it. Other people have very minimal exposure and do contract it at an early age.
Now, there was a ban on asbestos in 2003. Why is it still a problem?
It's still in buildings. The biggest problem with asbestos is that people, well, there's two main things. Firstly, people don't know about it, and secondly, the people who do know about it don't take it seriously. Asbestos is used in over 3,000 products. I've been doing audits for over 15 years now. 3,000 products. We haven't found them all, but there are new products we find each day. It ranges from being in paint to carpet to floor tiles, floor coverings, you name it, it's in there. But most people just think of asbestos as maybe sheeting or on roofs.
That makes it a nightmare then for anyone looking to renovate their house, doesn't it? Because how do you know where the asbestos is?
The trouble is you don't know where it is, and it's hidden. And that's the house renovation. That's where the next wave of asbestos death is occurring. It's estimated that probably by 2030 will be the peak of asbestos death, and that's where, or the main cause is from house renovations. And the younger people are contracting asbestos disease. There's the youngest known case in research that I found is a 3-year-old girl who's contracted mesothelioma from parents renovating a house.
My goodness. So how do we solve the country's asbestos problems?
Follow the current legislation. The federal government has put out a discussion paper and have made a number of recommendations. One of the recommendations is they're going to set up a whole new department to manage asbestos in Australia. And the other main recommendation that they do have is that on all sale of or lease of a residential property, an asbestos audit is undertaken so you know what you're buying. That legislation's already in for commercial properties, but it's not being policed. And that's the biggest problem that I see. Unions have recently had a push on, especially the Electrical Trades Union, had a push on for electrical meter boards, where electricians have been drilling into meter boards that contain asbestos. They want it banned and so on, and more regulation, but we don't need more regulation. What we need is governments to actually enforce what's there and to put an education program in place that people know. So you might be surprised, as an example, there's no asbestos training for apprentices. So we have apprentices coming through the system, working on older buildings and contaminating themselves and the occupants of the buildings because they don't know what is asbestos and what's not.
That's hard to believe. So who's to blame for that then? Why isn't that in place?
This is government. Government has got to start to take responsibility. And I'll just refer back to the Devil's Dust program. It was all about Hardies. My personal opinion that Hardies is terrible, but they've been used as a scapegoat. Government have known that it kills people, and they're still not. They put legislation in place, but they're not enforcing it, and that's the biggest problem. And education, there is no education program. Australia put new work health and safety legislation out in across Australia, but only Queensland, New South Wales, Northern Territory, ACT enacted it this calendar year. South Australia probably will do it next year, but nobody knows about it. It's left to companies like us and to educate the public that there's new health and safety legislation. Governments don't do anything for education of the public.
So in this Asbestos Awareness Week, what's the major message you would like to get through?
If your building is constructed prior to 2004, don't do anything to it until you know what's in there. That's the critical thing. And be aware that asbestos does kill. It may not kill you, it may kill your family. And if you're a family doing renovations on a house, don't do it because you may be old enough and you may not contract it, or you might die of other causes prior to the asbestos taking hold, but your children won't. And then people without children, think that it doesn't affect them and I'm old, who cares? But pets, if they care about their pets, as an example, we've got evidence of cats will die within 12 months of exposure. There's documented evidence from universities that dogs between 5 and 8 years die from exposure to asbestos.
Yeah.
So it's not only people who die, it's their pets too. So, for those who don't care about themselves or their families, think about their pets.
Donald Pitt, really appreciate your time this morning. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, David.